Hello, and welcome to the first podcast episode of The Resilient Wife. Now, if you're finding me, I am so glad you're here. I'm going to share a little bit about my story today, but first, I want to encourage you if you are in the middle of a separation or a divorce as a Christian wife, you found the right place. I am here to encourage you with the encouragement that God has given me in my own story, that your story is not finished. Okay, what the enemy is trying right now to steal, kill, and destroy from your life, God has given you the ability to war against. And I'm going to talk more in depth about that in episodes to come. But what I want you to hear today is be encouraged, beloved. You probably feel so broken right now. At the beginning of my journey, I felt like there was no hope. We had built our foundation on Jesus Christ, and it seemed so shattered that I didn't know how to stand on God's promises. I thought we had been. Let me tell you, I have endured false allegations, slander, my children being withheld from me during my divorce. I have endured people turning against me, being abandoned, being forsaken by the one that I loved and bore children to. But I have hope, and if I have hope, I know that you can have hope in your situation. And I thought I had been close to God, but God has taken me on a journey that has been so revealing of who He is, and His love for me knows no end, and His love for you knows no end. And I am here to say to you today, beloved, be encouraged, because in this season, God has chosen you as His warrior for your spouse. You are being called. And I pray today that you answer that call with faith. Even if it is the size of a mustard seed, even if you feel like you can't see what your next step is, today I am asking you to trust that God has a plan. In this adversity, I promise you, if you choose to turn to God and wrestle for your promise and fight to stay close to the Father's heart in daily communion with God, even if you don't have the words, even if it is through tears, just crying out to God, but you meet Him in that secret place daily, I am here to tell you, our God is faithful, and He will rebuild your life from the ground up in a way that you have never imagined. My life is testimony to this. I have been encouraged in a way that I would never have thought possible if you were to tell me that this was going to be my story. I had a breastfeeding child withheld from me. That is a pain I never thought I could endure, but with God, He has brought so much beauty in my relationship with my children. We have seen Him heal our hearts. We have seen Him do incredible things. He brings life from ashes. He speaks to dry bones and says, "Come alive." He raises the dead. And I promise you, beloved, if you stick with me, but most importantly, stick with God on this journey, if you listen to the words that I'm saying and you choose to run to the Father for every step of this journey and trust Him, it's going to take surrender. It's going to take full surrender and the understanding that you are not in control. But that is a beautiful thing. And I promise you, beloved, if you allow God to lead you in this journey, to fill you with patience, kindness, self-control, love, forgiveness for how you've been hurt, if you choose to not hold a record of wrongs, if you choose to lay down your desired outcome, I promise you, God will give you better than you could ever imagine. My life is testimony. And I'm here to speak to you today. Trust that this is an invitation to draw closer to the Father. When I heard that at the beginning of my walk, I thought, but I just want my spouse. I miss my spouse. I have God. I know how to pray, but I didn't understand the way that God can meet me in my brokenness and heal everything. I'm talking no depression, no anxiety. I'm talking no fear. My God has met me here and renewed me. He has made me whole in the midst of the most tragic circumstances. And He will do the same for you. What the enemy intends for evil, I promise you, God will use for good. You just have to call upon Him and stay drawn into Him. And I know you can. I believe that God trusts you in this journey to come. That's why He called you, beloved. That's why you're here. That's why you feel a desire to stand for your marriage against all odds, against how you've been treated, against the betrayal and the rejection you're facing. Something in you is saying, but God, my God does miracles. And maybe it sounds a little crazy, but what it is faith. Our God does impossible things. And it may not come as quickly as you hope it will. But trust, and I again am testimony to this, trust that everything is used for a purpose in God's kingdom. I would have never chosen to be away from my children. I would have never chosen to have to defend my character against false lies, against false allegations, against slander. I would have never chosen to see the community around me leave in one of the most difficult times I could ever imagine. But it drew me to the feet of the Father. It made me new. He made me new. And you can do it too. If I can do it, you can do it. Walk with me as we follow Christ together. We're going to walk it out. And it's going to be hard. But we're going to keep our eyes fixed on Christ. We're not going to lean on our own understanding. We're going to trust Him. Because the sufferings of this lifetime are not worth comparing with the glory that is coming. And do not be discouraged, because God is going to get the glory in your story. So I'm here to say, if you're new in this journey, if you're thinking, what am I going to do? How am I just going to make it through the next hour? Run to God. Get on your knees and weep if you don't have words. Listen to testimony and keep encouraged. Because the enemy may be trying to do something, but God keeps him on a leash. As we know from the story of Job, God is only going to allow the enemy any access if God has a plan to redeem, restore, and resurrect. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that God brought us together. And I'm so glad that I can encourage you on this journey. Believe me, I am not perfect, but if God has been able to do this in my life and build me up from a pile of rubble, which is where my life was just a year ago, He can do it for you too. I've seen Him do it. So stick with me as we walk with God. And most importantly, remember that God has not left you. He has not forsaken you. and He's not done yet. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.